Welcome to day 13. Today's message is all about rest, and I will be resting for day 14 and day 15. So, this is just some time if you need to get caught up on days 1 through 13 that we've done, you can do that. But this is your 40-day breakthrough. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to jump in. Today's message, we're coming from Joshua 1 and 10. And it says, Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, Go through the camp and tell the people, Prepare your provisions, for within 3 days you will cross the Jordan to go in and take possession of the land that the Lord your God is giving you to possess. But to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, Joshua said, Remember what Moses, a servant of the Lord, commanded you when he said, The Lord your God will give you rest, and he will give you this land. Your wives, your young children, and your livestock may remain in the land that Moses gave you on this side of the Jordan. But all your mighty men of valor must be armed for battle to cross over ahead of your brothers and help them until the Lord gives them rest, as he has done for you, and your brothers also possess the land that the Lord your God is giving them. Then you may return to the land of your inheritance and take possession of that which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you on the east side of the Jordan. This is one of my favorite messages, and I love it because Joshua was so obedient. His whole thing was like, hey, I got the word. Once he got the green light, it's time to go. He said, prepare your provisions. 3 days, we're crossing the Jordan. We're going to go in. We're going to take possession. And I think what's so powerful about this too, and this is something I used to always just kind of skip over or didn't notice, that he talks about the Lord your God will give you rest. And I know when we think about inheriting promises and stepping into that next level, or the up level and the breakthrough and all these things, a lot of times we can believe that it's only going to come through hustle. It's only going to come through going nonstop and grinding and getting it done and no days off, team no sleep, and all these things. When God actually, his promise is rest. His promise is that when he blesses you, there's no burden added to it, right? And so I can think of many seasons where I've gone through, whether I intentionally rested or I had to rest because I had no choice, because of whatever may have come up to stop me from being able to run like I wanted to. I definitely think about recently when I had my daughter, having to be in the hospital for almost 3 months. And it was such a season of rest and such a time of provision. But at that time, I didn't see it as that. It was really tough until I leaned into rest. And sometimes God is just trying to recharge us and give you that space to just be quiet, and give you that space where you can hear, and give you that space where you can recharge, and that space where you can show up even stronger. And a lot of times, the reason we resist rest is because we believe that in a place of rest, you can't see the promise. In a place of rest, your business has to shut down. In a place of rest, you can't grow. In a place of rest, nothing's being done. But it was quite the opposite. They were getting equipped for a battle to prepare for rest. The promise was in the rest. The provisions was in the rest. The restoration was in the rest. Anything that they had need of that was coming on the other side in that promise was coming from a place of rest. And that's just so beautiful, because if any of you have ever gone through a season where you literally were team no sleep, what you know probably and you can relate to is the fact that you can't even enjoy the things. When you're not rested, you can have all the events lined up, all the opportunities, the doors opening, the family activities, and all these things, and you can't even enjoy it when you're tired. You can't enjoy it when you are not rested. And that's why God is so intentional about rest. That's why he's so intentional about resting in his promises and trusting in him, and knowing that you don't have to come from this place of fixing everything on your own and having all the answers and doing all the work and going nonstop. And if I can just lock in and, do these things. And these are things that I have said all the time, so often. I've said many of these things, but what I know and what I've seen firsthand is that when God provides for you, provisions can come from that place of rest. In fact, sometimes, I will say all the time, but oftentimes it's just so beautiful because you didn't even have to overthink. You didn't have to overdo. You were able to preserve all of your energy and just and experience the blessing, experience the outcome desire without having to do all the crazy heavy lifting. And I'm probably going to butcher this story, but I remember this story and this kind of stands out to me. It was a story about an engineer that came into a plant. If you're familiar with it, or if you have a link, then share. But basically, the engineer came to the plant they were having an issue with, or the warehouse place facility. Again, I'm butchering the story, but you'll get the gist. And he was able to come in and charge this company some astronomical amount, they thought, because he came in, he simply put an X on the spot that needed to get fixed and walks out. And then they like, we're not about to pay all of that. You know, all you did was put an X on the spot. And he broke down the figures. Let's say it was $10,000 charge. He was like, all right, well, if it makes you feel better, $1, I'll charge you $1 for just putting the X on the spot. But the other $9,999 is knowing where the X needed to go. Because when we're coming from that place of rest, and I'm using that example because it's one thing to do all of this work and feel like you're doing all these things, but so much time can be saved when you're resting in God's promises and you are doing intentional work. Some of the things that you all are doing, you might be trying to make 250 phone calls this week when it's just going to be one divinely ordered connection that will change the trajectory of your life. And that's coming from that place of rest. It doesn't have to come from a place of busyness. It doesn't have to come from a place of overwhelm and anxiousness and trying to do everything. So if you have been called to rest, if you know that this is just confirmation for you, be okay with it. When I decided to just step into this 40 days of breakthrough, I'm like, all right, you know, that's how I usually would have been. But this time, God, you just show me where I need to show up. You show me what I need to say, how I need to do it, because that's it. And if you're not calling me to do it, or if it's not meant to come together, it's not even worth y'all's time. I'm telling you, it's not going to be worth your time. But God can do a thing, and he can make something happen, and things can be restored so quickly when we are able to just rest and rest in his promise. So that's our message today. Day 13, 4 days of breakthrough, we are resting. And day 14, day 15 is days of rest. So refresh, recharge, get caught up, do whatever you need to do and get quiet. And I will see you on day 16. If you want to stay connected with me, you can go to ericalatrice.com. On the list to get all the updates. And then we have the 10-10 conference, and it is going to be, I believe, life-changing, starting on January 10th. So it is at amplifyher.net/1010 event. And I'll put the links in the comments. So definitely reserve your ticket. It's free to attend. But we are kickstarting the new year, just getting things in order and bringing things to completion. So I'm really excited about that. And I will see you all on day 16. If this message has blessed you, definitely, or if you have an experience with rest, share it below. Encourage someone else if you've seen breakthroughs from that place of rest. And I will see you all in our next video.